Meantime, for a second day now, Microsoft TikTok continues to be a big story. Of course, the president's comments yesterday about what he called key money. Today, Jim, it's an op-ed in China Daily saying that China will by no means accept the theft of a Chinese technology company and has plenty of ways to respond if the administration carries out its planned smash and grab. Well, I heard you talking with Becky about this a few moments ago.
It's hysterical. I mean, they've been smashing and grabbing our technology. Look at the Micron lawsuit. I mean, they make us they create these bogus, the Chinese Communist Party, create these bogus entities that steal all of our intellectual property. And all the president's trying to do is fight back a little bit. I mean, David, come on. You know that those joint ventures are bogus and set up to take information and give it to the Chi-Com army.
Yeah, there is definitely, you need to be careful. You go down this road a lot, but you also, by the way, Jim, are happy to applaud the success of the business that Starbucks has in China or Apple has in China or Qualcomm has in China. So let's not forget that. But yes, you do need to be extraordinarily careful. And it was years ago that we first reported right here on Chinese cyber espionage of U.S. corporations. It quieted down for a while. It has picked back up in an extraordinary way from everything I hear. And Eamon Javers reports on this as well. So, yeah, there's no doubt there's a lot of stealing going on. That said, Jim, do you have any idea what the president was referring to yesterday? And I'm sure we have the bite and we can take a listen and try to parse it in some fashion. But what in the world he was talking about with this key money idea? Let's listen and then we can sort of see if there's any semblance of competence that we can figure out from this thing.
Whether it's Microsoft or somebody else, or if it was the Chinese, what the price is, the United States should get a very large percentage of that price because we're making it possible. Without us, I use the expression, it's like the landlord and the tenant. And without the lease, the tenant doesn't have the value. Well, we're sort of, in a certain way, the lease. We make it possible to have this great success. TikTok's a tremendous success, but a big portion of it's in this country.
Listen, if you're Microsoft, you're still trying to figure out exactly what that means. You are continuing to try to negotiate, guys, to figure out a value that you want to pay for the TikTok business. There's a lot of regulatory things around it. Still going to need an antitrust review, though you would expect the U.S. government would say yes on that front, too. But then again, shouldn't necessarily be connected. You're dealing with the Chinese government. You saw what's going on there. This is not an easy road, made even more difficult because they're trying to figure out what the president meant, too, Jim.
I think the president recognizes that Facebook can't buy them, Google can't buy them, Apple can't buy them, Amazon can't buy them. They're all under fire. The president thinks that it's just a done deal for Microsoft, and I think he feels like, well, wait a second. I just gave Microsoft the sweetest deal in the world. Let's have a little kickback to the Treasury. And I don't know if that's so strange. I really don't. I mean, it really is. Come on, David. It's a sweetheart deal.
Really? In the history of the United States, has that ever occurred that you're aware of?
In the history of the United States, have we ever had a president like Trump? Honestly. I mean, really, you're going to throw the history of the United States? What is this, like, what are you going to talk about, Lincoln next? Like Madison?
Well, I mean, I can talk about typically the fact that even both parties have stayed away from corporate decisions to a certain extent. Now, we can get into a long debate about it, Jim, because obviously there have been times when the U.S. government is deeply involved in the economy, and we know, and to a large extent in some of these kinds of things, particularly when it comes to banking. But I can't remember anything like this. Can you? Well, even the idea. By the way, it's not going to happen. It's probably illegal, and it's not going to happen. But I think it's interesting that you're actually willing to defend it.
I don't know. Wedbush today, Jim, says 75 to 80% chance this gets done.
I think it gets done. I think it is a sweetheart deal, and I understand the president. I mean, the president does think differently from those of us. I mean, I think he's good on this landlord-tenant stuff because he's been a landlord. I mean, that's kind of a good back and forth there, right?
Then you got the Journal this morning. If it's deemed legal, the key money aspect would set a dangerous precedent for the seizure of foreign businesses, open the door for U.S. firms to suffer the same treatment in other countries. You're not worried about that?
No, well, because I think that the country that he's referring to steals from us constantly, and this is the way they do business, and it's embarrassing. When you look at the different joint ventures they come up with, most of the companies are made up, and all they do is steal our stuff. This is not – look, this is factual. I mean, again, I'm referring to the Micron lawsuit, which I think is pretty definitive. I mean, I think the president was – I don't think he spoke the way he might have meant. I think he might just say, look, there should be there should be an understanding that the United States is giving Microsoft this gem. But, David, you know, when Constellation Brands got the gem of Corona from the Justice Department, they didn't write a check to the Justice Department. So I admit it's a little wild, but I am urging you to open your mind to the fact that this is a president like none other.